Good morning. I would like to bring this September 5th meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and I would like to remind those in the audience as well as those of us up here to please turn your cell phones off because we are being taped live and we would prefer not to hear that when we're taking care of business up here. Also to remind those in the audience and those watching on television that this is the first reading of any rezoning, text change, or special exception requests brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by the planning staff, and we will ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about the said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case, and once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation, and if there is a favorable recommendation that is given, then the case is forwarded to City Council with the two independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the City Council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting, which is called the first reading. The said council shall consider the case, review PAC and planning department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public hearing called the second reading. We actually do not have minutes to bring forward. Am I correct? Yes. So we will go.
Those will go on for next time. There'll be two to approve.
That's fine. That's fine. But we do have two cases to bring forward today, so we'll go ahead and start with those. And the first case is REZN-08-18-1516. And this is a request to rezone 2.94 acres of land located at 9932 and 9942 Veterans Parkway and 9099 Gray Rock Road. The current zoning is GC, which is general commercial, and RE1, which is residential estate 1. The proposed zoning is GC general commercial. The proposed use is retail general, and George Mize is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 6, Allen. Mr. Renfro, if you'll read us the report.
Yes, ma'am. General land use is inconsistent for planning area A. Current land use designation is general commercial utility. Future is rural residential. It is compatible with the existing land uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. Traffic impact, the average annual daily trips will increase by 292. The level of service will remain a level C. Traffic engineering, the site shall meet the codes and regulations of the Columbus Consolidated Government for commercial usage, no school impact. The buffer requirement, the site shall include a Category C buffer along all property lines bordered by the RE zoning district. The three options under Category C are 20 feet with a certain amount of canopy trees, understory trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, 10 feet with a certain amount of shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet in a wood or masonry wall, 30 feet of undisturbed natural buffer. No response from Fort Benning or DRI recommendation. 11 property owners within 300 feet of the subject property were notified of rezoning requests. The planning department received no phone calls or emails. Additional information, this section of US 27 is in Band 3 of Georgia Transportation Improvement Plan. Please see attachment. And these property lie within the Veterans Parkway Overlay District.
Any questions, commissioners, from the staff report? Yes, Mr. Dudley.
From the maps, it looks like 2 of the 3 parcels extend into Harris County. Does the city need to coordinate with Harris County on this, or is that just the applicant's issue?
George Mize will have to answer that.
So we'll have the applicant come forward and state your name and address for us.
My name is George Mize. I'm with the law firm of Page Scranum. Let me try to address your question. It was that a portion of the property, really a small sliver, I think, lies within Harris County. We are not obviously here to rezone that portion of the property. It's my understanding that little strip of land will be given to the neighbor. We'll quitclaim it to the neighbor, and I'm assuming that's been worked out with the neighbor or will be worked out with the neighbor. Yeah. So this will not impact Harris County at all. And certainly, we're not here today to talk about Harris County.
All right, Mr. Mines, are you going to give us your information?
Okay. Again, I'm George Mize with the Page Cranham Law Firm. I'm representing your applicant, which is Spring Hill Land Trust, and I'm also representing Terramore Development, which is the developer located in Thomasville, Georgia. They're a preferred developer for Dollar General. They've represented Dollar General for about 16 years in the Southeast, and over that period of time, they've been able to put together about 225 Dollar General stores. And here with me on behalf of Spring Hill Land Trust, as well as Terramore Development, is Mr. Chris Qualheim. Our engineers on the project are EMC Engineering. They are certainly a well-respected engineering firm, been in business for over 40 years, working primarily in the Southeast. And here with me today on behalf of EMC Engineering, Mr. Brian Braun. There we go. Got the site plan up. Thank you. This is our site plan. As it said, the staff report said, we're seeking to rezone approximately 2.9 acres of land from a combination of RE1 and GC to all GC. The current use of the property, it's got 2 or 3 slides here showing you what the current use of the property is. But what the proposed plan is will simply be to continue this current use. We're not trying to change the use of the property on this particular corner, but we are trying to uniformly make it properly zoned and take it from a non-conforming use to a conforming use. And I think this property here has a feed and seed store on it. I think they sell sheds, et cetera, but you can see what we're talking about. But we're seeking to remove those existing buildings that you see there and put together approximately 9,100 square foot Dollar General store with completely new common areas, new parking garage, new parking area, new landscaping, new internally directed lights. And as the staff report indicated, this is located in the Veterans Parkway overlay, so we got to spruce it up a little bit. And around the 4 sides of the building, it'll be, you'll have split-face block, I think is what they call it, and then from there up, it'll be hardy plank, but it'll have to comply with the overlay requirements. Also, being a Dollar General, they always sell first-run, nationally recognized brands, including these brands, and I just had some slides here showing you pictures of the inside of Dollar General stores. We're all familiar with what a Dollar General looks like. But we got several. But they do sell first-run. It's not any kind of second sort of deal. Of course, Dollar General is an excellent corporate citizen. They're one of the leading small box general retail stores, over 15,000 locations in 44 states, and they employ over 130,000 people. They're one of the fastest growing retailers in America. Their goal is to provide their customers with convenience, service, and value. They also are a great corporate citizen, having developed their literacy program in 1993, and since that time, they've given away over $154 million in grants to nonprofits, and it's helped over 10 million people learn to read. Each year, the foundation gives away over $12 million to try to enhance lives through the literacy program and education in those communities in which Dollar Generals are located. And y'all may or may not know this, but any nonprofit, any library, or any other school that's located within a 20-mile radius of any Dollar General store is eligible to apply for one of these grants. As the staff report indicated, all public facilities and infrastructure are located at the site. There'll be no negative impact to those facilities and infrastructure, nor will there be any requirement on the city for additional investment in that regard. This will have a very positive economic impact to the city and its citizens, including, as we talked about many times, the creation of construction jobs during the 4-month build-out process, together with an increase in business for local suppliers, subcontractors, electricians, and others that support the construction industry. And then when the project is up and running, we expect to generate between 8 and 10 new permanent jobs. As far as the development, also provide a substantial increase in the tax base for ad valorem tax purposes, thus providing a substantial economic return to the city and its citizens, again, without negatively impacting existing infrastructure or requiring any additional investment in the city's part. In this particular instance, we anticipate increasing property tax receipts from about $1,850 a year to over $28,000 a year. It represents about a 1,500% increase. There also be a substantial increase in sales tax, both in connection with the purchase of hundreds of thousands of dollars of construction materials and then permanently once the store is up and running. This is truly, and then we expect to generate about $80,000 a year in sales tax receipts. This is a win-win situation. We're going to remove those stores that you saw on the front end, the very unattractive, and replace them with a very attractive development, and to provide the local people with close and convenient shopping, and in return, my client's going to be getting a good location with excellent exposure to Veterans Parkway. We believe our rezoning request and application meet all the requirements for rezoning. The GC classification is certainly consistent with the current use on the property, and we believe it's also consistent and compatible with surrounding land uses. All public facilities and infrastructure located at the site. There'll be no negative impact to those facilities and infrastructure. We believe, too, this will bring a substantial benefit to this community in terms of convenient shopping, job creation, and tax revenue generation. Therefore, we respectfully request that you approve our application and you recommend approval to council.
Thank you,
We're happy to
Commissioner.
try to answer any questions you
Yeah.
might have.
Are there any questions, Commissioners, for the applicant? Mr. Kenner?
There's a power line corridor behind the property.
I'm sorry?
There's a power line.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you staying out of the corridor then? I mean,
We can't develop inside, underneath that power line.
yeah,
We would
so
stay away
you
from
go
the
up
power
to
line.
it, but that's.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Mr. Greenblatt?
Yes, this question is for staff. In looking at the traffic impact, we state on the staff report that the corridor is level C, and on the widening project sheet, it states that the corridor is level D. Under the additional benefits, it states that currently the corridor is a level service D.
That's going to be the full length of the actual road there, including Harris and Muskogee County for that particular one.
Okay, so we're still stating that this part in Muskogee County is
Is
level
level
C.
C.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions regarding the applicant or for the applicant from Commissioners? All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? And if so, please come forward. I see no one. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this request? And I see no one. If there's no further discussion amongst the Commissioners, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. King.
Madam Chair, in the case of REZN 08181516, I move that we approve this case based on the fact that it's compatible with existing land uses and it's provided all city services for this
Do I hear a
site.
second? Second. Mr. Reese. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And it is unanimous, so we will submit that as approved. Thank you. All right, that brings us to our next case, which is REZN-08-18-1542. And this is a request to rezone .44 acres of land located at 7277 Sorrel Court. The current zoning is RO, which is residential office. The proposed zoning is RMF1, which is residential multifamily 1. The proposed use is single-family residential. Chuck McClure is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 6, Allen. Is he here? Oh, good.
Yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
just want to make sure. Go
Yes.
ahead.
General land use is consistent for planning area B. The current land use designation is vacant, undeveloped. Future land use designation is single family. It is compatible with existing uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is serviced by all city services. Traffic impact, the average annual daily trips will increase by 25 trips. It will remain a level of service B. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of the Columbus Consolidated Government for residential use. No school impact buffer requirement. The site shall include a Category A buffer along all property lines bordered by the RO zoning district. The three options under Category C are 10 feet with a certain amount of canopy trees, understory trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, 5 feet with a certain amount of shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet with a wooded fence or masonry wall, and 20 feet undisturbed natural buffer. Fort Benning recommendation in A, and no response for DRI recommendations. 54 property owners within 300 feet of the subject property were notified of the rezoning request. The planning department received no calls or emails regarding the rezoning, no additional information. But I would like to clarify a couple of things pertaining to the maps that were sent out. Under the existing map, it currently says that is a vacant, undeveloped. That is currently incorrect. Our GIS maps have not been updated in some of those areas and throughout the city and need to be updated, so that particular map is not correct at this time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions regarding the staff report? Mr. Dudley?
Just for clarification on the map, are you saying the aerial map is not correct, or?
The aerial map is correct.
Okay.
Just the existing land use, it says that it's vacant, undeveloped, and it is developed. It is, that whole area around there is either RO or residential multifamily in that area.
Okay. From the aerial map, it looks like the area to be rezoned does not border any streets. Is the plan here to extend the street or just to build driveways through other plots of land?
The townhomes that are along Towns Way, when they rezoned that, the legal, or when they originally created that, the legal description extended back into this piece of property that we are rezoning now. That piece of property wants to be RMF1, the total piece of property. So the section that we're rezoning is currently RO, and we want to rezone it, so that whole piece of property is RMF1.
But how are people going to get there?
Off the cul-de-sac.
So is the Sorrel Court cul-de-sac piece of land also included in what's being rezoned? Because from the aerial map, it looks like only kind of the back side, and to get from the cul-de-sac to the property, you'd have to cut through another plot.
What the Sorrel Court, what's actually touching the cul-de-sac is currently already RMF1.
And it's owned by the same people?
It
so
is.
they would.
So they'd have to
they
go
would
through
extend
the
the road?
cul-de-sac.
Right. Well, these lots will just be deep lots.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding the staff report? All right, if the applicant will please come forward and state your name and address and give us a brief overview.
Good morning. My name is Chuck McClure, 2301 Airport Thruway, Suite E6. I'm at Tiger Creek Development. As Mr. Renfro was saying, back in 2009, the townhomes, the towns of Sonoma Point, were rezoned, and for whatever reason, part of the legal description went across the property line onto an adjacent piece of property that we had that was zoned RMF1. Mr. Will Johnson and I have been aware of this for years, and we moved forward to plat this last section of the Sonoma Point subdivision at the end of Sorrel Court earlier this year, and the tax assessor's office came back and said that the parcel cannot have two zonings. Henceforth, we came forward to submit the rezoning packet to submit everything as RMF1 to carry on with the existing zoning conditions in Sonoma Point subdivision.
Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? I don't see any. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? Or anyone who would like to speak against it? And I see none. Anything else we need to discuss, Mr. Greenblatt? You want to, do we have a motion? Yes.
Regarding case REZN-08-18-1542, applicant Chuck McClure, acreage .44 acres. Current zoning is RO, proposed zoning is RMF1, residential multifamily 1. Being that it is consistent with current land usage and that it is also compatible with existing land usage, I move that we approve.
Do I have a second? Second, all right. Mr. Kenner, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. And it is unanimous, so we will submit that as approved. Thank you for coming forward today.
All right, thank you very much.
We do not have any new business or old business, but I do, before we adjourn, want to acknowledge that our principal planner, John Renfro, and his wife Brittany became parents for the first time, August 21st, to a little girl. So John's dazed and tired, and we appreciate you being back with us today, and welcome to exhaustion for the rest of your life, buddy. But we do want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And other than that, we are adjourned.
Well, John, mine just turned 2 on the 19th of August, so if you need any tips, I'm fresh off the press, man. I'll be help you here, okay?
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you so much, and we are adjourned.